Gabe, good to see you again, sir. Number four.
Number four?
Yeah, it's time. Time
Oh
to do
my,
number four.
I was thinking about it earlier. I'm like, nice. Number three, I'm killing it. Four.
Four
Four is more. Four doors down.
interviews. Four doors down too. Yeah. Wait, no, was it two doors down or was it four doors down originally?
It was three.
Three doors. I didn't even think about the third.
Yeah,
I
there's a
what
third.
what was their big hit? They had like a big hit. Well, I don't know what it was though.
It was I don't know I'm guessing what it's called, but I'm guessing it was called Kryptonite.
That
You know
sounds
it.
that,
You
that
know
sounds like a good
it.
one. It
You know.
sounds good.
It sounds powerful.
It does sound powerful. I
Yeah.
was talking to Tim Carmen, and he plays in Parlor Greens, and he mentioned Dave Matthews,
Yeah.
and I've said this, and I want to say it again. I think like Dave Matthews and maybe Three Doors Down as well are gonna make a resurgence. They're gonna get some new life in them.
There is, yeah, you could be speaking, you might be late already. That might be happening right now
Yeah, I'm probably
because
behind the ball. Yeah.
I was talking to somebody about like, there's like this resurgence of music that did die out a little bit, all the like, new metal and like this Y2K stuff that I grew up hating, to tell you the truth. And, um, and now there's like people that's like unironically like into Creed,
Uh-huh.
and it's kind of like people only liked Creed back in the day because it was on all the time, and it's kind of like, the wonders of marketing and big budgets, but like now for people to be like, oh yeah, Creed for sure, it's kind of like, man, you know, I wonder what kind of childhood you had, like
A rad one if Creed's involved, obviously.
maybe you might be
Obviously.
right. I could be assuming the worst, and I hate being, on the darker side of things.
Yeah, it is crazy though that these bands are getting some, which I feel like in my opinion, they really weren't gone for that long before it turned its head again.
Yeah,
Um
sure. I mean, yeah, you're totally right. This some of these bands have been doing it and they kind of like hit a lull and now they're back better than ever, or
yeah, but the lull didn't even last that long, I feel like. But you know what? I mean, if people are getting paid, that's cool. All right.
yeah, keep it going. Keep it going.
I'm not trying to yuck any yums, it's,
Yeah,
if that's your thing.
I mean, some of it's pretty, I mean, I'm not saying cool like in the sense that I was into the music, but some of it's cool to see like how big it's gone and like even like I've since I wasn't a fan and just like knowing like where they're playing or like their capacity. Like for example, a band like System of a Down.
Mm-hmm.
Never was into that band ever. I knew they were a big band, but like I think like post COVID they played like I forget what stadium, but I was just like a stadium?
Yeah.
Like they're that kind of band and apparently they are, but I remember like growing up there used to be like a monthly almost like an LA weekly, but they were called Destroy All Monthlies. And in there was more like an independent publication that was like it would have all like the punk shops, skate shops, record shops all around Southern California, and then like articles of bands, and then even, you know, um, the listings of shows coming up. And there was one venue in Corona called the Showcase Theater, and I remember seeing like System of a Down on there, all these like kind of new metal bands that really blew up. But this was like a small venue that was like 400 people, very like local. All the bands went there, punk bands, metal bands, hardcore bands. So it's kind of cool to actually see like that's where their kind of roots kind of were at, and now they're like at stadium level. It's kind of like wow,
That's wild. That's
pretty wild.
crazy.
Anything can happen.
I mean, we'll just say it now. Dave Matthews, you're opening up for him on a couple of his dates.
Working on negotiations, right? He
Yeah,
plays he plays
yeah.
hardball, I play harder. That's the way it goes.
And he knew that. He knew that coming into it. He said, "Ah, Gabe's gonna give me a run for my money. We're gonna have to
You
really pay
know,
him."
they they told him, "Hey, dude, this guy rolls up his sleeves,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever that means,
right.
But
But you do it. You're in there.
I I try my best.
The last time we saw each other, I think, was at a show as well. Not
Hmm.
not at a stadium show. but at the Zebulon, and I think it was Will Warden's show, I want to say.
Oh yeah, that was the night. Was that the night Luka Doncic was traded to the Lakers?
I don't know, but I'm not like a real baseball guy.
Basketball.
See?
Actually, no, that was. I think I was mistaken. That wasn't the night. That was a different night.
Okay.
Um, but yeah,
I'm going off of you.
the Will Wharton show. Yeah, yeah. That Zebulon's always a place where you never know who you're gonna bump into, and you're likely
Hmm.
gonna bump into everybody. You know?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's a hot spot. It's a hot spot.
How long ago was that little? I remember it was brief. Like I think I or you were on your way out.
Yeah, I think I was initially on my way out, and then I didn't make my way out until much, much, much later.
You know
That's how
what?
that usually goes.
I was about to say probably that same night, the exact same thing happened to me. Like I'm saying bye to like I think Julian was there, right?
Maybe I don't remember him being there, but what I do remember is corralling you and Ben Schwab together to take a picture of both of
That's
you,
right. Yes, yes.
which is a great picture.
Yeah, I
I'm really glad we got that shot.
but I think that same night as I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys. I walk out like, you walk out and there's a front bar
Hmm.
and like one of our old bass players, Brandon Graham from the band Dream Phases was there. And he's like, I could just hear his voice like, "Hey, Gabe." And I'm like at the door, but I'm just thinking like, that's Brandon. I can't like act like I didn't hear him. And
Yeah.
I turn around, I'm like, "Hey, Brandon, what's up?" And he's like, "You're leaving? How about a beer?" And I'm like, "All right." And then everyone I said goodbye to is like, "You're still here," and they're leaving, and I'm still there,
Oh,
and I'm like, ah. But hey, Brandon's a great guy. Good hang, good talk. It was nice to make the moment for him.
yeah. Shout out to Brandon. But
Shout
yeah,
out, Brandon.
he did get you. He
He got
properly got
me,
you.
and he made me pay for the drinks.
That's a real good move. I like that.
Love that. I doubt he did that, but that would have been pretty sick
That
on
would have been
him.
really good. Hey, stay and pay for my drinks, and then I
That
actually gotta go.
I think that happened to me once at Zebulon at a different show where like you walk in, the bar's right there. There was like a group of people I knew, and there's one guy. It was his birthday, and he was just like birthday shots. It was like five of us plus him, six guys total, and everyone's like, yeah. And he's kind of like calling it out like birthday shots on me, like I'm gonna order a round. Who wants one? And we're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's passing the shots around, and then he just walks away, and the bartender's like, who's gonna pay for these? And like I forgot how that was sorted out, but I thought I was like, that's a good move right there to be like round up everybody and be like, well, I'm out. It's my birthday.
What are you gonna do? It's his birthday. Uh,
Someone's got to do it.
yeah, that's that's a crazy move.
It's like a
All
classic
shots.
80s movie, like kind of like move right there. The next like moment where like someone opened up their wallet and like butterflies came out.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
So we saw each other at the Will Warden show, and that was a good show from what I remember.
Yeah, it
Um,
was a great show. Yeah.
yeah,
Talented dude.
very talented guy. Alumni of the podcast. We love him over here. What makes a good performance to you? What is like that's a good performance? What is the marker of that?
Oh, well, there could be several things that can make a good performance.
Lay some on me, please.
I think sometimes when bands are giving, their personalities and their personas on stage more rather than worrying about like the perfectionist moments of like, sometimes you get caught up in that where they're not allowing personality to come through, right?
Mm.
And it's just like they're a shell of who they really are because they're so worried about I need to sing perfect or play guitar perfect or my backing band I'm worried about are they perfect and like you can kind of see it sometimes when someone's being like the like scout leader or the principal of like looking at everybody at stuff and it's like is that fun as opposed to everyone's cutting loose a little mistakes funny it's okay we're gonna forget we move on.
Hmm.
I think to me that's a big important part of like seeing somebody live because it could just be boring. I've seen good bands that sound great, but like they're just boring.
We're gonna name
You
them right
know,
now.
I got my
They're
list.
still
I'm glad
playing.
you. Glad you asked. Here, I got my on my desk. I got it. No, my vendetta list. No.
Right.
And
These
then
are the people that need to be called out right now.
yeah, exactly. No more, not allowed at Zebulon anymore list.
Wow, the band
Yeah,
at Zeb list.
yes,
That's a big one. Yeah,
that's a
I
big
got a
one.
couple other people like that have like their own list for that, so I'm glad to like add yours to it and just
Well, it's a collab. It's a Google spreadsheet. We all add,
it's yeah.
yeah,
So
the thing.
please, if you want access, you can go ahead and shoot me a DM and I'll we'll let you in.
And I think another one is like, what they do beyond the music. Like, I see you could go to a big show. For me, a big show is like the Fonda or something like that.
Right.
And a band goes on and it's just them. The lighting is like very average, just stage lighting. I think that's okay. That could work for some people, but when they go above beyond like a little bit of stage props or just cool projections and visuals happening, something outside of the music that kind of like brings the music to life a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I've been to big shows where you're stoked, they sound great, but it was just the stage, and eventually it's like they sound great. Okay, I already geeked out on what guitar they're playing, and then you're just like, he's wearing Adidas. Your brain starts going in other places that like has nothing to do with it, but like if you have the visuals going, cool lighting, I don't know, interaction on the stage, it's like, oh wow, this is not just a show musical or musically, but it's a performance. This is like, this is art, so to speak. You're
Right.
giving more to the stage so that your audience can get more out of it. You know what I mean?
And you
So I
can't
think
even
those
tell if it's Adidas or Puma, like you don't even know
Adidas,
it.
Pumas, Reebok, British
Re
Knights. If they're British Knights, yeah, I draw a line. Osiris D3s.
Also making a comeback, Gabe.
I'm about to say that's why I said also making a comeback.
Oh,
What about
yeah.
Etnies? Are those back?
I've heard Etnies is back on the table. I've heard S is back on the table. A lot of skate
Yes.
shoes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So those things are important to me. I think those are just like some of the biggest ones outside of just like, how good are they live? So yeah, this personality, letting bands just cut loose and be themselves. And then what else do they bring more to the table outside of just their sound and themselves? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think bands have been doing better at that too. I mean, not that like I expect that from everybody, but with venues now and just like with technology where we're at, anyone can cut up like a 5, 10 minute like little like visualizer, and venues have projections now, and it's like even that little effort goes a long way for me, I think.
Right, right.
And obviously if you're a beginning band, maybe you don't need to do that. But if you're a beginning band doing that, right on, good for you, because if it grows and you get more opportunities and more freedoms to do so, it's going to come through a lot better. You might even have, that whatever aesthetic more stabilized and more official to your vibe. So I think it's pretty cool where we're at. We're able to do that more, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with the projector thing. Yeah. I mean, now that you mention it, just so many more
It's
bands
common,
have stuff. Yeah.
you can go out of like I've seen shows like at like the Bigfoot Lodge, like a little bar. Even they have a projector screen and they have bands playing. And it's like, see, that's cool. We're adding something to just me at a bar 3 feet away from the guys blasting guitars in my face. So yeah. And then sometimes if you're not the kind of guitar player performer where, personality is like, you're throwing leg kicks up or swinging your guitar around, those visualizations, that lighting effect, that can overpower that and be just as important. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that some people are afraid of leaning into that because they might be like, oh, well, this is like a gimmick. Like this is like people think that this is our gimmick of like playing this certain movie in the background and
I
whatever,
think
doing this stuff.
I think yes, there are some people. I think there's some people that are just like scared to take themselves seriously or look like they're taking themselves seriously. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like this whole like nonchalance from people is like, stop. Even your nonchalance is chalant. It's it's contrived, there's effort into it. So why not do it on stage too? Don't be
Mm-hmm.
reluctant for it. because then you become that, maybe you get fortunate enough that you become that big band on a big stage, and it's just like meh, everyday lighting on stage, and it's like, really, we paid 40, $50 to see this, and you're just like apprehensive to dip your toes in the water to do a little bit more, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good point, Gabe. It's a good point.
I got all the points.
You got all of them. I mean, we're hitting all the markers so far. We are flowing through this. This is fourth time. This is big leagues. This is this is it.
This is
We're
it, dude.
we're not in the minors anymore. This is. Do you prefer the live versions of songs from performers you've seen live compared to like the recorded versions, or do each kind of hold their special place in its own if it's a good performance of with live songs?
um I guess that kind of depends. You know,
Hmm.
there are some, I think there are some bands that like respectfully, like maybe they're more crafted studio wise, so that's probably the best way to really absorb it. But live, it's still just as enjoyable. There's that other element that was like, you know, the excitement that they bring to the stage that like makes it as good, but maybe it's a little bit diminished on some things. Who knows what it might be, sound or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but I think there are some bands that just blow you away when you see them live. Like, wow, they really do that, you know. And when I see that live, it's like I always feel like, dang, like I wanna leave the show immediately and like just like start like give me a goddamn guitar and I need to start practicing. Let me finish writing that song idea. Like, you know, like I want to push myself to that. So I
Right.
guess I guess I do enjoy the I am more inspired by the live aspect when I'm seeing a band, you know?
Hmm.
So because it's like, you know, it brings that like it's that Kevin Garnett moment of like anything is possible, you know, like you hear it live and then sometimes you're speculative or you hear it in recording in the release and then you're a little speculative like do they do all that live, all those harmonies or guitars and all that? And when they do it live, I think that hits a little bit harder for sure. Yeah.
Which is rare in that occurrence that they would even attempt to do it. Like even bringing that whatever was in the studio into the live performance anyways. And
Yeah.
then for that to be good is another step.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You know, that they're incorporating it into the actual fold of the performance rather than it was
Exactly.
a production moment in on an album, which is great. You know, it's like, oh, they went a little extravagant in the recording, but then it's like, oh, it's actually part of like the fucking set. That's what they do, you know.
Yeah.
One band that I think about a lot, like as I'm saying all this, is the Lemon Twigs. I know everyone probably mentions them and talks to them, but like on record, awesome, great band. They're really like going for it on all levels, like singing, arrangement. And then when you see them live, it's like, damn, they really do that. And they bring in their personality and the excitement. And it's just like, shoot. You know what I mean? Like for sure I saw them and there's like a couple songs where it's like, yeah, that was I mean, it was probably as good as the recording, but it was way more impactful seeing that live. Like, god damn.
Right.
Bravo, you know?
Yeah. Is something lost within the recording of a song that is just not is only present when you're performing live and you can't really manipulate that into the recording process, kind of reverse engineering what we are kind of saying there.
I mean, I think that there can be, you know,
Hmm.
I will admit for my own sake and band, maybe not the full band. I don't want to throw everyone under the bus, but for myself, like in songs, there's been moments where it's like, yeah, great take. It's on the album, but like there was something taken away on the sense of like what do you call it? You're in the studio, you're on the spot, you're a little bit nervous. Like maybe you did write it out. Maybe the part is created and all you got to do is nail it, you know? Or it's not 100%, so you're going to kind of improvise and find it in that studio moment. But sometimes like take after take after take, it kind of kills the spontaneity even of a written part, you know, like it's
Right.
already solidified, but you mess it up. Now you're on take 10 and take three was okay, but you're on take 10 now. And it's like, and I remember one time in a session we were doing, a take came out great, and someone were like, "Do it again and again." And then eventually someone said, "Is like, it's not getting any better." So like sometimes like that over crafting something in a production, I think you kind of like sometimes neuter the the fun part of what you're doing. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
definitely.
To capture that moment, because sometimes you can maybe, I mean, I would hate to be so like abstract, like there's those memes of like jazz heads be like the drums are so honest. But like sometimes I think you can tell like, man, everything feels like the band is going off on all cylinders, and here comes this lead guitar that was clearly overdubbed, and it's like it's too perfect. It's not sinking in with the rest of this, whatever, however the rest of the music is sounding on a track.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've noticed it on a track or two of my own, just because it was like I wasn't nailing it, and now I'm like 30 minutes into repeating the same damn solo, and now I'm just trying to be a robot about it just to get it done. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Which is great. I'm glad I got it done, but sometimes it's like the moment is always sometimes better than like, the perfection part.
The heat is on in those moments, it seems.
I
And
love a
yeah,
little heat, that's what I'm saying.
it's a little bit too much heat though sometimes, yeah. Like he's like, oh, it's a little bit
Too
like,
much
wow,
too much
whoa.
heat, too much heat is, hey, that's for you to decide if it's too much heat, you know what I mean? And some
That's
people want to be intentional about that like production approach of like everything is going to be super refined, and the drums are going to be sounding like they're in such a dead room space and very tight sounding, and that's all great sometimes, but then it's like that's not how you sound though.
mm,
You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? Like in reality, you go see the band and it's like, oh, it's not that like whatever, that really pristine polished sound or whatever it is right now.
Yeah.
So it there's some good things about like really focusing in on a production, and like trying to be like very meticulous about your takes, but then there's also something about like creating what it really sounds like live, like in person. Like there's a lot of bands where I hear the drums and it's like, yeah, that sounds great, very pristine, very like dead room sound and this and that, but it's like that's not what the drums sound like in a room though. Like when I hear a drummer in a room, that's not what it sounds like. And sometimes
Right.
sometimes that bothers me a little bit, or like maybe that vibe doesn't fit with a certain style or a song, and I'm like, I really wish it sounded like I was in the room with the drums. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel it feels out of place sometimes. Like
A little out
that
of place,
exists in a
you
different room.
know?
Like that could have
Yeah,
been cool for something else, but for this,
yeah. And
not.
don't get me wrong, there's moments even in my own songs where it's just like maybe the production on a certain instrument was a little out of place. You know what I mean? And that's fine. You live with it. You make the corrections, make the adjustments in the future. Um, I would definitely say our last album, Strange Weather, was very a meticulously processed album. You
Mm,
know what I mean? Like we didn't we did do live takes to capture, rhythm and fundamental tracks, but there was a lot of moments of like, okay, that was a great live take, but now let's isolate just you and we're gonna go over it, part by part and piece it together, which is great. Sounds cool, but it's like let the moment be sometimes. Like this song needs to be in the moment and wild. And we did that in some songs, and I think I just me, just because I was there, that was my process. I can tell the difference in those tracks where we're being meticulous and we just or at least for my part, meticulous and then just letting it rip a little bit.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good blending is nice in that.
A good blend is nice. Sometimes it's like, okay, like, singing, obviously we want to kind of make sure that's as like in tune as possible and like on beat as possible. You don't want to be like loose about it. You don't want to be too Johnny Thunders about it. But
Yeah, right, right.
sometimes that's the vibe. You know what I mean? But yeah, everyone's different. I think even in our band, we allow each other to be like, if Julian cuts a rhythm track on the like scratch take and the rhythm track sounds good and he likes it, all right, that's what you want to do. That's we'll keep it. It sounds good to me too. So I agree. You know what I mean? Again, could it get any better? You can do 10 more takes of the same exact rhythm track, was it better than that feel of when you were playing with the actual drummer and the bass player and the room was rolling together, right? Like I
Yeah.
think that energy is nice. I believe like London Calling was recorded. I mean, it wasn't live, but they performed all together, and that's what you're hearing, right? And then also what they did was after that, all that was recorded, they performed it live again. So what you hear is like their overdubs are live overdubs. You know what I mean? Like they played once, that was the take, and then they played it all again, and that was the take again, and then you're hearing both of those live tracks running at you at once. And to
Hmm.
me, I think there's something to that album being very pinnacle album for their career and also for punk music, rock music. Feels very energetic. No track, even the slow tracks feel very impactful, very lively. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Definitely
Yeah.
push behind him. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't know that you were a Clash fan, Gabe. This is new information for me. I'm just learning about
No
it right now.
way. Stop.
No,
No
yeah,
way.
I mean, I would have never known, dude. Um, so you know, going back to this recording aspect for Levitation Room. I mean, today is the. I mean, as we're recording this, it's Record Store Day,
It is record sorted.
and there's a really important special record out today. Do you know what it is?
I think it's Miley Cyrus's
It is. It is.
Meet Cyrus. I think that's what it's called.
I
Um
believe it's called that too, and there's 95 different variants. So make sure to buy them all because it's very expensive.
yeah,
A lot of people had to be pushed off of the list to print their stuff in order to get all these variants.
exactly.
We got
Exactly.
fluorescent green, lime fluorescent green. List goes on.
This goes on.
No, we got your album.
Yeah, we got Ethos.
Levitation Room 10th
We
anniversary ethos out today or at the time of this recording for the UK and European record store days, right?
Yes, for them right now.
Hmm.
I mean, and then the US, we are going to do a US print soon.
We're working
I
on
think
it.
I know it's in the works. I don't know the logistics of like hold on, I got to burp.
It's an
Like
emotional day. It's an emotional day.
yeah, usually people cry but I burp.
No, yeah,
Um
whatever your process is.
I don't know like the details of like record store day. They release it, and then you got to let them have a little window to just let that breathe, and
Hmm.
then soon after we can release. So I think within like the next month, the U.S. one's gonna come out. But like I think it's a beautiful thing to see it come out again. That we're still a band actively pursuing to get better. 10 years later, and still seeing the fruits of our labor of our first pretty much shot in the dark project, like we didn't record this album because like, oh, we need to like people love our music, we need to record it or we want to be taking over the world, right? I mean, it just kind of just happened, and the fact that people still like it is still awesome. I mean, even indirectly good amount of those songs have always lived in our set, no matter what the changing is. There's always ethos songs in the set.
I was
And
going to
even
ask
like
about that. Yeah, because there is some there, but there's some that aren't
there's
as
some that
well,
aren't,
which is
right?
interesting to see those come back around again, which is always super spectacular as well.
Yeah, for the shows coming up, we are gonna try to include like a good hunk of the maybe not the whole album, but a good amount of the album, and even touch on some of the songs we didn't usually play live or haven't been playing live. So I think that's gonna be for us a fun challenge to like redo them again, and also bring them to life with we have a new lineup in the group, sort of. I mean, at least from 10 years ago, it's a different lineup aside from Julian and myself.
Yeah, you got
And
Iggy coming in.
we got Iggy, and then we have my bass player Kevin has been in the band for a while, but he wasn't around for that era of the band.
Hmm.
And then Glenn was around. Glenn, our keyboard player, produced that. He was the guy. If it wasn't for meeting Glenn, that album would have probably never been made the way it was, right? Or sound the way it did, or even any of the trajectory that's happened to us. Because he was the guy that like we met him. He came to a show, checked us out, and was like, "Dude, I can record music. I can record your guys' album, no problem," And For some reason, we just trusted him and we went with it, and bada bing and bada boom, you know. So, but the 10 years awesome because we get to like, or at least on my behalf, like repackage it a little bit different and re-envision it a little bit different physically. Just because at that time I have a copy here. Should we do a little rundown of it?
We should
I
definitely
I have the original and the new one here.
bring them both, please, Gabe. Come on. You know I gotta see them both.
Okay, here we go. So like again, the re-envisioning it without like altering it. Like the original, I never
Wow.
wanted, like this is a matte cover too, which is like I'm not a fan of, which was it was kind of a little bit of a bummer when we got it first printed, and I was like, okay. But now when I look back on it, I'm like, okay, it's cool now. This is the old vintage one,
Yeah.
you know. But also like when we were doing the new one, people were like, management or I forget who was like, "Oh, are you not going to put Levitation Room on the cover? You should put Levitation Room on the cover." I was like, "Why? It worked without any fucking branding on it, you know? It's like an image that people like. Honestly, it doesn't mean anything, but there have been people that have been like, "Oh, dude, what is that guy? What does that mean? Where is he going into? What was your guys' thinking?" And I was like, "I don't know, it just looks good, dude. You can do the math, you know?"
You do the math,
I
bitch.
prefer you to do the math because I paid someone to pass my math classes in college. Um, so and then the old one has the photo here of the band, classic lineup, and a part of me, no disrespect to the guys or who was there for the era, was like, I think the new one, I don't want to like highlight the guys too much on the cover. I kind of want to just kind of, it's more of a highlighting the era and
Mm-hmm.
the time, you know? So like on the back cover, I think to me it's kind of on the new one, we kind of did this photo. It's my photo that I took during the session, and I don't know if you can see it, it's glare, but this is the photo of the tape machine that we recorded our album on
Oh,
when you
right
get it.
on. Yeah.
And to me that's kind of a cool thing because like, nerd heads, record heads, recording heads are always like, well, I guess the funny thing about this album is that there's so many bands that go into like nice studios, pay for money to do this. We recorded this album on a cassette tape. I don't know if cassette tapes even exist anymore, or if like younger people even know how to use a cassette tape. So like, but it's like, it's the labor of love that we put into it. You can still tell the fidelity's not huge or perfect, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like to me, regardless from all three albums back to the production stuff, overplaying, perfection, blah blah blah. I think this album cohesively represents the sonic sound of Levitation Room the best. Like regardless of Headspace, Strange Weather, singles in between. This album, like we really, I don't know what happened, but we were able to get it we were able to get it right fully. But then, I was able to kind of, sit back and think of the eras and like I'm kind of the archivalist in the band. So, but actually what sucks is that my laptop totally just took a shit and I had like so many years of files in there. I have most of them on a hard drive and I need to get a laptop and make sure that hard drive will deliver those files, right?
Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
So on the new one, yeah, we have the
That's
cover
stressing me
here.
out, Gabe, a little bit if I'm being honest with you. It's really it's grinding me a little
Tell me
bit.
about it. So in the new one, the insert, I decided to do something cool, or at least like a little booklet, which is like a little collage of all like the flyers of the area, some of like the original like single art that we did. Like everything was always DIY for the band, so why not continue to make it DIY where I'll do it? And then again, at the time when we were starting this band and going on tour, I got into 35 millimeter photography, film photography. So I wasn't intentionally documenting the band to be like 10 years later this is going to be perfect, right? But it just for my own sake, you take thousands of photos on your phone, you never pull one up and talk and tell a story about it. But if you I thought you take film photos, whether you have them, I don't know, post it on Instagram, wherever you do with them, or print it on your own, if you were to pull up that photo, you probably have a story of that moment because you didn't take 100 shots and were so passe about that moment. You were like, "Oh, wait, stay right there. Hold on, hold on. Oh shit, let me crank it. Wait, 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 wait. Let me get it right. Or let me get it right." And then you live in that moment a little bit more. You know what I mean? And so that's what I was learning to do. And so I put in like a little like booklet of all these photos of the era, of people, the music videos, just random little skits, little homages to like the neighborhood we were recording in. This is a shitty mural of the Beatles. Can you see it?
Yeah, yeah.
And this is in East Los Angeles. If you're from East Los Angeles, if you know East Los Angeles, if you know, you know this portrait. This portrait has been on this like auto shop since like the 70s. And like I don't know, at that time I went and took the photo because this was something I would see as a kid. Right across the street there would be a taco truck that we would always go to. And so it's kind of like a nostalgia, and like every few years they retouch it. For as bad as that portrait, this mural is,
No, that looks good. That's basically a picture right there, Gabe. I don't
I
know what
mean,
you're
I
talking
mean, I mean,
about.
they do it good, but like Paul McCartney looks like
Paul
he's from
McCartney stuff.
looks like from Los Bukis, like that Spanish band, the Mexican band. And and to me,
That one does
like,
it just doesn't look like Paul. Everybody else is
yeah.
pretty good. Paul is
But for
I don't know
me,
what
like
happened.
each one of these photos, I can tell you a story about it. I could tell you where we were at. I could tell you what was happening, and even moments like, I mean, I wish this came out clear. So my first camera came from a friend of mine, Jamie Kraft. It was his grandfather's camera, and he was just like, I don't know if it works, and I know you're getting into film photography, so you can use it if you like, and just let me know if it works. And I was going around taking the photos, mainly the black and white ones,
Hmm.
and then we found that it worked. And he's like, "You keep using it, we're cool." We had a studio, and he had this little studio right next to each other, so we saw each other every day. We were good friends. And then soon after, he passed away in a motorcycle accident. And when we went to the funeral, I brought the camera to his mom, and I was like, "This was your father's camera. Jamie let me borrow it, and I just want to give it back." And his mom was like, "No, I mean, if Jamie gave it to you and let you use it, then Jamie trusted you, and you can have it, right?" So it's blurry, but I got a photo of Jamie in there as a tribute and as a
Oh,
thank
that's
you.
awesome, man. That's
Yeah.
great.
And then of course and he's in somewhere in the like the thank yous too. And then we do the original lyric book, right? This was the original idea right here. If you want all the words and secrets, there they are. And then the actual insert is the photo of our first studio that Julian and John lived in. I was there probably like 20 out of 24 hours of the day. And then, yeah, it's a special moment. I think all the guys from that era and a lot of friends that would come to our studio because we throw parties and rock and roll circuses. There's probably so many people that can see this photo and be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that. I was there. I could still smell the cigarettes." And then of course the final tribute to the lineup inside the full color, the full resolution of the original band and lineup, thank you sheets and all that stuff.
That's awesome.
So yeah, just commemorating the moment. But it's always funny because you think you did a good job, and when I get it, I'm like, should have done this, should have added that more. I have these photos. Maybe I should have done that. But it's fine. It's fine. Um, I think it'll be cool for people to see and enjoy. Hopefully, they nerd out on it as much as I nerd out on records. When I have a record I really loved, especially like stuff like this, the flyer page. You can see the bands that we played with, bands that are still around, or places that we've been. Um, yeah, it's just a time capsule of the moment. It's crazy to say that, like, I remember all these moments like yesterday, but it was 10 years ago.
Does it feel like 10 years ago? Sometimes you go, yeah, that does feel like 10 years
So
ago.
sometimes it does feel like 10 years ago, definitely. But sometimes, it's it's hard to believe, but also it's a blessing to be 10 years and like to see the growth. Like when I go back to some of those, when I was going through some of those photos, um, especially that era, I was printing a lot of them. So I have like a filing cabinet, not a filing cabinet. I'm exaggerating my organization skills. I have like a drawer full of like printed photos, like hundreds and hundreds of them. And just like, you know, it's hard to believe 10 years are gone, but then it's also like I'm glad they are because like, you see some of the early tour photos or venues or places that we were playing. I mean, with all due respect, I'm so glad we did. I'm so glad we had the privilege to play them. But we've grown. There's growth. When we go, I have photos from like our first San Francisco shows, and I'm like, where the fuck was this? I don't even remember what bar or venue this is. So I'm glad we now when we go to San Francisco, it's like the venue that I always saw that like, oh, that's where the bands play, the chapel, shit like that. So it's like, oh wow, what a blessing is that like our name, gets the privilege to be on the marquee and people actually come.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
What has been the biggest change of these past 10 years for you in the band?
Um, I think just like the amount of work that needs to happen now. I mean, that's for sure because again, we recorded this stuff just for fun and just get it out. And now it's like things are like, okay, guys, when we got to release, we need to lock in press. We need to lock in this and that and that and this. And it's like, I guess, but it's a good problem to have that's where we're at. That's the work, right? And then also just the our abilities as musicians are way more, I would imagine I speak for myself, more confident in what we do and how we do it or how I approach writing a song or playing, along with Julian's song or whoever's song. Like I have a better grasp of like what to attain on my guitar now. You know what I mean? And there's more of a comfortability, and there's a comfortability to be like, okay, we're this song is leaning into this style, but still can give it a Levitation Room organic feel of whatever that is. You know what I mean? So I think just like most recently for us, what's changed is just the openness and creativity. If you got an idea, you gotta let it out, dude. And everyone else in the room, take a moment, step away, and let someone like express their idea and their creativity, and accept what they're bringing to the table. And like let's like let's put the levitation room blanket on it together. You know what I mean? Let's shape it together to be more you know um uniquely all of us. So I
Yeah,
think that's like one of the biggest changes too. But there's other things that have, I mean, some things haven't changed. Thank goodness we're still on the same booking agency. And then also, I mean, things have changed, or in some senses we're not. Like in Europe, we've changed agencies, so that's like a new change. And this year we're going to do our first European tour with this new agency. So that's like, it's kind of like, yeah, we're going to do the same thing we've done before, go to Europe and tour, but it's also like, this is a new operation. So let's see how it goes. It feels exciting. It feels fresh again. So yeah, we got the
that's
West Coast
awesome.
in May, and
Hmm.
then at the end of the month of May, we release our new EP. So we
Hmm.
have a new batch of music coming out, and then
That's
and then
crazy though to put. I mean, I like it. You don't see it very often though. A re-release and then a new release
yeah,
following it pretty shortly after that. And but that is also released in May, right? Am I mistaken on
yeah,
that?
that will be in May 22nd, I believe it comes out, and that
Equinox.
Equinox, very good, very good.
I, I
Um,
I I glanced at the notes. I glanced at the notes. But you know what? We don't need
you,
to glance at the notes for Greenway. Greenway's putting all this out, so please go and go
yeah.
to Greenway. But you could the pre-order's up now, right?
I think the pre-orders are going right now, and it's going to
Okay.
be very limited because like it's an EP. I mean, for us, this EP was like a hodgepodge of songs that we've had for a while, and we've even like demoed, but like recorded very nice some of these songs. I think one of them has been sitting around for like 5 or 6 years, and we've
Time.
always for whatever reason been like reluctant about like I don't know about that song. Me personally, I've always thought like this is a fucking great song. Like if the lyrics aren't cool, find cooler lyrics, whatever it is, you know. Um, and we finally kind of just we needed to put out new music this year, whether it was an album or some songs. So we kind of like went through some demos of stuff that we've had, and it's like, well, these are 5 songs that like they're not necessarily like the most cohesive vibes, right? But they're just like I said, a hodgepodge of what we like, of different influences, different capabilities of what we do. And also even like a preview of like, I don't think Levitation Room is ever going to be Ethos Levitation Room again, for better or worse. Because we're just trying to push and grow into the next thing, whatever that is. And
Hmm.
mainly whatever that is just like growing as a rock and roll band you
Right.
know
Right.
um but still, I mean, like there's some, I would say there's always some songs that come through as classic Levitation Room moments and feels, but there's going to be some ideas where it's like, okay, you're taking a swing for it. Like I think last year the 2 or 3 songs we released were, well, one of them specifically was a different swing. Our song Love Signs was definitely a more chiller pace, I mean more chill than our usual pace, but like poppier, way more pristinely like put together. We worked on it with Eduardo from Chicano Batman. And and it was just kind of like good to kind of like we had a song idea. We asked him if he wants to produce it, and he just was like, okay, do this, don't do that, try it this way. You guys always do this, so do this. And it's like, oh, it was cool to like kind of try to like break out of habits or try new habits with
And you
with
need an
Eduardo.
outside force to do that, it seems.
It's easier for an outside force to kind of bring that in rather
For
than like
sure. Yeah.
someone in the band, because if I were to say, I would hate to say, yeah, you kind of already did that, Julian, and then there could be, well, you fucking play guitar the same all the time, you would hate
Right.
for that to happen,
And you guys are a cohesive group, and it'd be hard for just one person to break away, and then but everybody else does the same. It's like, well, then you're going into the cycle again. Wow,
right.
that's
So that was pretty cool
and
to
for you
do
guys to
with
be
him.
receptive of that is fucking amazing because I don't think a lot of people would be. They're like, "Fuck you, like, we're not gonna do that," you
I
know?
will be honest. I think in the session, in the moment, some of us had to be like, whoa, I need to accept this right now. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like for better or worse, just see it through, because we've never worked with a producer. Our producer has always been Glenn, someone in the band and Glenn's a talented dude himself who can probably produce and say, or he does produce, but can be more of a producer hat and say those kind of things. But at the same time, he's our friend, he's in the band. Definitely the vibes are high, and it's like, sounds great, keep doing you.
right.
Where Eduardo though was kind of like, nah. I remember when I was recording my guitar part, he was just like, you always, I forgot what he said, but he kind of just pretty much said, you always do that, don't do that. And I was like, oh shit, okay. And I'm in my head recording this part like, don't land on the root note, try to land somewhere else. And I'm like, but it's such and then that makes me think that happened twice to me last year. That gets me thinking while I'm playing. And then like we did It Happens All the Time, the other single with Iggy, our drummer now. He wasn't drumming for us then, but he just produced the song. And yeah, he was just like, I don't know. There was a moment where I needed to try a lead, and I just went for it. And he was like, all right, that was cool, but you already did a space rock solo in the last song we did. So let's try to write a more cohesive rock solo. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, fucking excuse me. But also it's like, okay, cool. I'm being challenged to be like, you can be yourself, but you can try a different version of yourself too.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Because sometimes playing it safe isn't growth. You know what I mean? Like nothing changes if nothing changes, big dog. You know? And willing to challenge yourself in like in the moments. Like I know these songs, I know my instrument, so being challenged in the moment can be a good thing. So many songs from our favorite musicians and artists, maybe even famous guitar parts, riffs, licks, were probably in that moment in a production sense of like, try something else, keep trying. There it is. And you were being challenged, and that's what led to greatness, maybe, or a great part to the music, you know? So, and I think right now, we're trying to wear that hat when we're trying to make new music, kind of be a little bit more not self-produced, but a little bit self-aware of those things, you know, especially myself in the new songwriting stuff. I don't want to get too ahead on that, but back to Equinox was, you know, pulling out these songs, challenging ourselves a little bit with these different feels, right? And just getting these out, getting the yayas out. You know, we need to put out music. And I think actually, and again, some of these songs were questionable songs, you know, like, is it us? Ah, fuck it, let's just do it. But now when we put it all together, we all kind of walked away saying like, and maybe we always say this, but I was like, fuck, these are some of our better songs that in quality of recording and in authenticity of capturing the moments, it's the best. It doesn't feel like too produced or super tight, you know. Um, that we ended up being very stoked on the release actually, and we were honestly gonna release it like the first week of January just to like get it out, but then the label Harry, our digital distributors were like, well, we need to plan this a little bit better. I'm like, okay, let's plan it, you know. So
I
we're
like that idea of getting people nervous. Like, yeah, I think right now. I
yeah, I
think
mean,
I think
because they're like, I mean, we can put it out whenever you guys want. And I'm like, well, how about the beginning of the year? And it's like, well, that's like 2 weeks away. I'm like, all right, we can't do everything we want.
let's do
But
it now. Let's do it. I'm
I
gonna
think
send this email and then once I hit send, we're just gonna leak it.
I'm just gonna go live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just
But
we'll just do it now.
I think it worked out in our favor to wait because now we have the momentum of the re-release, the tour. We come back, we release the EP, we play the Arroyo Seco Fest. The day of its release, we play the festival, so that's kind of cool, you know. And we are going to play the EP in full, and then we go to Europe and kind of like spread the gospel. Um, so yeah, that's you know that's kind of where it's at, and it's also our last body of work with our original drummer John. He's parted ways with the bands to focus, you know, with family and life, and you know, I really respect that he took the time to really put his heart into it still, despite, you know, the stress of work, family, raising a kid. Um, you know, he really he put his heart into showing up to rehearsals, getting these songs tight. He put his, you know, his heart into going up to Glenn's house in the mountains in Crestline for like 2 or 3 days to be just be with the boys and get to work, you know, and I think it really shows. I think it's probably some of his best drumming, and you know, I'll always salute him and thank him for that.
He's
So
a remarkable musician. Yeah. I mean, every
yeah,
time I've seen him,
he's
he's a force. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, especially live, like, you know, again, this scene. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, wow, I wasn't expecting you guys to be like that live." Our music is fairly chill with moments of explosions and guitar stuff,
Yeah.
but live it translates more because John's giving it fucking hell on the drums. Like he's going crazy and he's standing up, sometimes hitting it, and then we look back and we got to give that energy back. And Kevin's shaking his ass off, and it's like, okay, this machine is rolling, you know. So I always salute him for that. I will say this is some of his best playing. And even on the last show I played with him, I had a broken foot and I was sitting down. And I was thinking, like, on one song specifically, I was just looking at him like, you motherfucker, dude, this is honestly the best you're playing live. It's probably one of the last times I'm going to play with you for a while live. I mean, but it was beautiful moment, but it sucked because it was like, you motherfucker, I'm sitting down with a broken foot. You couldn't do this while I'm standing up, you know. So it's fun. It's good. There is a little homage to him on the artwork that'll be coming out. It's both the EP cover and back cover are photographs of mine. Um, and the back cover is a photograph of like the last few tours we went on. He would always bring this like sombrero, this white hat. And I took this really cool photo of it. What we were like in Seattle somewhere and in a neighborhood, like these beautiful fall leaves, and there was like a piano on the grass with all these leaves around it. And I told John, just like not even knowing, I was just like, hey John, put your hat on the piano, and I'm just gonna take a photo of it, and it was a great photo. And I was like, you know what? That's gonna be the back cover as the homage and goodbye to John.
That's rad. That's awesome.
Yeah. And
That's
that's
great.
why I do film photography, these
Well, we
moments,
could have
these
done this with an
stories.
iPhone. It could have been done on an iPhone. I mean, never mind. I mean,
No,
I'm talking about the
we would have
sentiment.
lost it. I might have deleted it to say like, oh fuck, I'm out of storage. I'm gonna delete that shitty hat photo. So yeah, we're excited to get it going. I think there's a lot of those, not a lot, but there's a 5 song EP, but I think there's a lot of excitement from us to perform those songs live.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that, Gabe. When you, and not only with this re-release or this upcoming release, but just in general, when you put out a new album or when there's a new album on the table and you're touring or even doing like a one or two off kind of show thing, do you feel like you're obligated to be like, we got to fucking play some of these songs, these newer songs, or is it just inevitable that you're gonna play these new songs because that's what you've been practicing in the studio and stuff? Is it gonna bleed out even if you didn't force it, or if you were
I
told like we gotta play these songs?
I think I think there's a little bit of an obligation to do it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I think because to me it's like, then why the fuck you do it? Like if you just want to be the greatest hits tour, don't do new music. You know what I mean? If you're not going to challenge yourselves, I would hate
That's
to
what Fela Kuti said. He said whatever's recorded, I'm not playing that shit. It's all new stuff all the
I
time.
mean, that's a different one, that aspect to put, which is kind of cool. Or like that album's out, but we're gonna play it and it's gonna be played totally different. I think
Uh,
that's a great concept too as well. But I think there's like somewhat of an obligation to it, right? To play those songs live and give them a chance to be received from the audience for better or worse, right? And then sometimes you start to like, you start to carve out what is gonna survive in the set and in the perform part of the show, right? Because like we release an album, let's say like Strange Weather, and there are the singles that we did that we're jazzed on, but then there's the album cuts, right, that we're also jazzed on, and we play them live, and it's kind of like, okay, maybe not that one, maybe this one, maybe we learned what songs are really going to be. It's never hit and miss with these, right? It's okay to try some songs that are hit and miss. To me, I think it's a responsibility of the artist to be fearless in presenting your works, whether you clap your hands or not. It's like, well, it is what it is, man. So I think there's a little obligation for it. I think it makes it more fun for the artist to be able to do the new material a little more openly rather than to be so like, here we go. We're gonna play Friends for the next 45 minutes, guys, Um, and also make them wait. You made us work for it. We're gonna make you work for it. We gotta stand and wait until that song comes on later in the set. And it could be exciting to kind of like see a band that you haven't seen them play these songs, and it's like, fuck, what song was that? That was sick. You know what I mean? You could also just be doing a disservice to your new music, not performing it live. It doesn't make sense to me to like be intentionally putting out music and then intentionally playing shows soon after. And it's like, nah, no new music. It's like, what? Okay. Are you not challenging yourselves? Are you not, prepared, or what's going on here? So, yeah.
Is there, with every release, is there always a feeling of like, yeah, that one probably won't make it into the set list like reoccurringly? Like this, like we might play like a few times, but then aside from that, like it's not really gonna see the light of day outside of the
Yeah,
recording.
I think yeah, that's true. I mean, I definitely, again, I bring up Strange Weather again, but there's definitely a song or two on there. Even one of them is my song that I brought to the table that I admittedly said this might just be a throwaway song, you know? And the guys liked it and we worked it out and it made it on the album. And I liked the way it came out on the album and everything. But at the same time, it was like, we'll try it. We have tried it on the set, but it's also like, nah, maybe we don't need to put that one into, bring in the ones that are really coming to life in a live set. And it's
Hmm.
okay, it's okay. I I think I think most bands have song, or most albums that you listen to from bands, new or old, for sure there's reasons why we say deep cuts or like album tracks because that's where they live. You know what I mean? And that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. Oh, what about when you're finally taking one out of rotation that's been in for quite a while, and you go like, yeah, this was new, or this is still kind of new, but this has to go and this has to come in. What is that like for you?
That is what we're currently kind of going through right now,
So how is it
because
right now?
it's a discussion, let's say that. It's a discussion and it's a push and pull, but I think that's a healthy thing to do in the band and just to see or even like we will discuss too, like, well, okay, what kind of set do we kind of want? Like, do we just want to give it hell from the top to bottom, right? Or do we want to kind of slow burn it and build it up? So meaning like, okay, if it's gonna be slow burning, maybe we got to do these songs to start off. Maybe that song we're not sure about fits perfectly here, so tonight we're gonna do it. But sometimes it's like, okay, there's a shorter set, guys. It looks like the crowd like has been pretty energetic all night, so let's just give it hell. Sometimes let's bring in some more classics for that, familiar energy that people know us for already.
Hmm.
But with this new release right now, there's a lot of conversation of what the set should be, and it's kind of like, it hurts to sometimes say some of them aren't going to be there anymore for now. But you gotta be, again, like I said, fearless in presenting the new, you know,
Yeah.
and you gotta give that a chance.
And it's you guys are in such a strange position with that because it's not that that album is totally with like a lot of people like the whole album's like we're not fucking playing anything from that album anymore, but you guys have been playing stuff from that album, so it's interesting to be like, hey, there was other things on this album that we should we should bring back into play, which is that's just like a strange middle ground there though, Gabe. But if anybody can traverse it, it's you guys. I know that.
We got it.
We
We
all
got
know
it.
that. You
Well,
got
I
it.
mean, I get what you're saying too, but like now, like I said, we're how we've kind of had a few solid ethos tracks in our set forever, right?
Right.
Those are staples, which is fine. I mean, we're probably gonna do a handful of those, but also like, maybe from right now, specifically like the Headspace era album, we don't need to do so much, right? We can cut out some of those songs that we would usually do in the set and maybe substitute those with a little bit more of those ethos songs that we've neglected or haven't
Hmm.
played in a long time. So I think that kind of gives it a little more balance and makes it a little more fair right now. Um, but again, that being said, like we're working on a full album. So within by the end of the year or next year, it's going to be a conversation of like a lot of songs are going to fucking go soon because we have a whole EP and an album's worth that needs
Attention.
its moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It needs attention. So that's good. Those are going to be interesting talks, conversations, and even shows. You know what I mean? Like people, I don't know. I don't know how that would go with like, let's say, I don't know. Let's say we only play four classics. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but some people don't even play classics, you know?
Sorry, my AirPod died.
That's
Can
fine.
you hear
That's
me?
all right. Yeah, but we're wrapping it. We got to land the airship anyways, Gabe. But I'm excited to see what's gonna happen with these shows. And I'm so stoked that you guys are putting out stuff and you guys got stuff in the works. You guys are so busy right now. It's great, man. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's been a good problem.
Yeah,
You
it
know
is
what
a
I
good
mean?
problem. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic problem. But the problem right now is that not enough people in Europe and the UK have ordered Ethos, which is it's out today. So we don't have the numbers right now, but we're gonna say it's not enough people are buying it because it's not sold out yet. So sell that out.
We're gonna sell it out. It's gonna be gone, dude.
We gotta sell it out. Um, I know that, America's not doing their part in this right now because we are not able to buy it right now. But when we do, we'll pick up our end of the couch. So in the meantime, Ethos is out now via its RSD release. So
Yes, it's our
please,
second record store day. It's pretty
yeah.
crazy.
What was it that it was last year was the first one, right?
Yeah,
But
last year we did our first one for the Minds of Our Own EP,
that's
and,
right.
that was another, like, that's where I kind of wanted to learn to put a little more attention into the ethos one, because the last one was, like, sometimes sometimes things become so, like, stringent, I guess, or, like, very, like, I don't know, if, like, you're poking at me in a way that I don't like, I will be, I guess, nonchalant about things and be like, "Here it is, fuck it," you know?
Yeah,
And I
right.
did put some time into it and, a little bit, but when I saw it in person, I'm like, "Okay, next one, ethos, a little bit more photo work, a little bit more artwork, and a little bit more time capsuling the moment." But that EP was a little bit peculiar because, I mean, what band expects their literal demo tape to be like the most notable tracks and and life of the band? Like we used to pass that out on burn CDs at house parties, thinking like these are just the songs to get the foot in the door. Here we are, take a listen. You love us or you hate us. And like, I think like last month, Friends hit 30 million streams. It's pretty crazy,
Thank you to Devendra Banhart. We
Thank
appreciate you.
Thank you to Venture Banhart. Thank you, what is it? Black Sabbath's Caravan. All the songs that everyone's called us out for that. It's like, okay, dude, it's the chords. We all use chords. It's okay.
Um, so even if you are one of those people who bitches about the chords, go buy an album and be like, "Oh, I hate this album." Just go buy it and be like, "Oh, this album fucking sucks." So
There's more chords on the album. You'll enjoy it.
there's more chords to hate on the album
Or hate. Yeah, or hate. Definitely hate.
or
Yeah.
enjoy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's again that's out now. The day of this release, or the day that we're recording this is the release of the album. So please go pick that up if anybody's hearing this from England or Europe. Go support your local record store. Anyways, you don't need a specific day to do this. It could be
No.
any day. Please go
Every
support.
day, every weekend, go buy a record, make it a point.
Yeah, or go see a show from a touring band or a local band. Just go give them
Definitely.
a little bit of cheddar if you have it. Yeah, so that's around in the local record stores. We're working on the release for the US of this
We're
new
getting there.
re-release, so just stay tuned for that. Like we mentioned before, we got the upcoming tour that's starting on the 30th in Costa Mesa, and it's a West Coast tour that's starting April 30th to May, like what is it?
May
10th,
9th.
not 9th. Okay.
Yeah, May 9th. We end in, I guess it's
Washington?
pronounced Moab, Utah.
Oh, Moab. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be like a desert festival thing, so it should be pretty good.
So please come out to that or any of the shows.
Yeah,
And
Boise will be there.
Boise,
Grand Junction, Colorado will be there.
I was conceived there, but that's another thing. So
Right.
so yeah, so please if you're in the area of any of these places, please go ahead and make your way out. You'll like it. That's a me guarantee. And if you see let me see how I phrased this before. If you see that the show isn't sold out like 30 minutes before the doors open, buy out those tickets even if you're not even gonna go because it just looks better on paper
There you
that they
go.
sold out the
Yes.
places. So if you see like let everybody get their tickets who is actually gonna come to the place, but if you see that there's still a little left at the door, I don't know, throw some money, buy
Couple
two of them,
bucks. Couple bucks.
just a couple bucks. Um, so yeah, that's gonna be great. The European tour starts um in
June 2nd, I believe we start.
June 2nd. Okay, great. And that's it. That you guys start in
Somewhere in the Netherlands, I believe.
right on.
Yes.
That's gonna be rad. That's gonna be cool. So if you're in the Netherlands or in the surrounding areas, once more, oh, and bring your copy of actually not just this RSD release, but any release from the band and say, hey, I bought this because of that podcast. And
Yeah, that'll be great. I'll sign it for you,
yeah,
right? You'll get two signatures. You get Gabe's signature, and we'll get the Jacob signature, and we're good.
we're gonna make sure that the forgery is good. It'll be as good as a bank statement. So yeah, a little Leonardo DiCaprio there. Catch me if
Yeah,
you can. But yeah, please make sure to make it out. You know what? And a true fan would do, Gabe, is that they would go to all of the upcoming US shows and then all the European shows. I think that's like a lev head, I think
a lead head.
is
Yes.
what they would be
Last
called.
year, I think we did have a lead head. This dude like showed up to like 4 shows in different cities, and I was just like, "What are you doing?" And like, I think his wife was like doing different conferences in different cities for her job, and he just so happened to be like, he's like, I just came with her, and
That's rad. That's fucking
he in
awesome.
town and like, I'm gonna go to a show, and we ran into like 3 or 4 times. I was like, pretty sick.
Dude, that is rad. Whoever that guy is, that's a champion.
Bless him.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah, so if your wife is traveling around, why not go see a show and make that show a Levitation Room show at the end of the
Yes,
day?
always.
And Equinox is out May 22nd via Greenway Records, and everyone can go to I think the like I think you said before, the pre-order is available right now for that, right?
Pre-orders available.
Okay, right on.
Um,
That'll
and
be linked
then
below.
and then by the midsummer, we're gonna have like a pretty special thing to kind of follow up with the EP release. Real quick, I'm just not gonna talk much about it, but we're gonna release a mini film for it, and we'll leave it at that. We'll talk about that on the next pod.
Yeah, right on. But in the meantime, before all that happens, please go to Greenway Records and pick up, I think mostly all of the releases.
Yeah,
That's a great way to support the band. And through the Bandcamp, which is I believe at levitationroom.bandcamp.com. I could be wrong, so whatever it actually is, the URL will be below of whatever people are listening to this on. But yeah, do we? Oh yeah, and everybody can stay up to date with it with everything else that's going on, in all this news and good stuff by following the band on Instagram at levitation_room. That's the best place, right?
that's the most consistent and best place. Yes.
Okay, right on. And do we miss anything, Gabe? I mean, this that's a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff in the
I mean,
fire
I
here.
feel like it flew by. I could we could keep going if you want. Did you? I know in the beginning, you said you were gonna ask the 2 questions. I know. Did we get them both in?
We did get them both in,
You
and you know
massaged
what?
them in that good.
People can subscribe to the Patreon to see what we're alluding to
Yeah, yeah.
because we gotta it's something
The free podcast is gonna be like 10 minutes. The Patreon, you get the full. Yeah.
if that if 10 if they're lucky maybe
Yeah, yeah.
it's all for love of the game
Of
and
course.
and love of the Gabe, honestly, if we're being honest, just to circle it back around.
That
Gabe,
that's the title of the ep.
yeah, I mean, we haven't had a title thus far, but fuck it, why not just throw it out there.
There you go.
Gabe, you're the man, thank you very much. um
Cheers, man.
Equinox is out May 22nd, and Ethos, the re-release, is out now for European and UK listeners. So please go get that now. Gabe, you're the man. I'm gonna stop recording this and I'll talk to you in a minute, all right?
Appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you.